You slip into the world under harsh fluorescent lights, squirming, blind, helpless. Congratulations, you've been born. Bad news? You were born in a lab. It's a science experiment. You're tiny, pink, and fragile, like a hairless raisin with limbs. You are, in lab monkey terms, a starter kit, nowhere near the full-blown horror experiment you'll grow into. Most are born into warmth, into comfort. You're born into a world of sterile walls and surgical masks. Think of it as a delivery room, but with more needles and fewer balloons. This is where you begin your life as a lab monkey, born not to be loved, but to be used. And your mom? She's had babies before, but none she ever got to keep. So if she seems a little tense, yeah, that's why. You don't know where you are. You don't know what's happening, but she does. And trust me, ignorance is bliss. Some babies get love, warmth, safety. You get a serial number, a barcode. You are a rhesus macaque, the most used monkey in medical experiments worldwide. Not because you're special, not because you're rare, but because you're replaceable, like a disposable coffee cup. Except coffee cups don't get electrodes attached to their heads. You haven't even had your first taste of warm milk yet, the first thing a baby monkey should have. But don't worry, you'll get fed, eventually. But food isn't what you should be worried about. The worst is yet to come. You know one thing for sure, you're not alone. You were born into a thriving, bustling community of terrified, desperate lab monkeys. It's not exactly a utopia, more like a high-stakes survival game where the rules were written in a language you don't understand. And the grand prize? One more day of existence. Congratulations, contestant number 402. You're in the worst reality show imaginable. Here, survival isn't about being the smartest or the strongest. It's about being the least disposable. And you? Right now, you have about as much value as a Happy Meal without a toy. Or worse, a pizza box without pizza. Just an empty, grease-stained disappointment. Each monkey gets its own cage, isolated, observed, reduced to a statistic in some intern's spreadsheet. But sometimes, just sometimes, they throw two into a single enclosure. First socialization, they say, as if this is some kind of luxurious networking event instead of a biological battle royale. It's not friendship. It's a forced reality show alliance where the grand prize is not starving to death. Except the producers forgot to include a second food bowl. One bowl, two sets of hands. One of you is eating tonight, and the other? Well, the other gets to experience the harsh reality of natural selection. Lab edition. Your cellmate isn't a companion. He's competition. One slip-up, one moment of hesitation, and suddenly, that scrawny little guy across from you isn't just another monkey. He's a stranded castaway eyeing a coconut with your face on it. He sizes you up like a seagull staring at an abandoned sandwich on a crowded boardwalk. Hesitation is not an option. The scientists don't care about your thoughts, your feelings, or the fact that you've memorized the best fruits to steal. To them, you're just a living experiment. Something to poke, prod, and study. One day, they might wire your brain to a machine just to see what happens. The next, they could lock you in a room alone for weeks, just to see how long it takes before you start losing your mind. You take a deep breath. The air smells like disinfectant and something metallic, like an old coin. The lighting is too bright, too artificial, buzzing like an unrelenting mosquito. The bars around you aren't just cold, they feel permanent. This isn't the jungle. It's a nightmare designed in a laboratory, where the only decoration is the empty stare of the monkey in the cage next to yours. Press the right button, get a treat. Press the wrong button, get a shock. Press nothing at all? Well, let's just say no one here gets a pension plan. The cage isn't just metal bars. It's a scoreboard, a living tally. You see who's still here, twitching, enduring. You see who's gone, nothing more than a vacant number scratched off a clipboard. So you do what you have to do. You press the button, you play along. Because in here, giving up isn't an option. You're small, slow, helpless. But don't worry, you won't stay that way forever. Give it time. You'll adapt. You'll have to. But what if you had been born somewhere else? Say a few thousand years ago. In ancient Egypt, monkeys weren't lab subjects. They were VIPs. But only if you were the right kind of monkey. If you were a small, playful vervet, you had it easy. Pampered, adored, maybe even decked out in tiny gold jewelry like some kind of ancient influencer's handbag pet. Your biggest problem? Making sure you didn't steal a grape from the wrong noble. because that might get you yeeted straight into the afterlife. But if you were a baboon, whole different story. You weren't a pet. You were security. Too big, too strong, and way too unpredictable to be anyone's cuddly lap animal. You were put to work guarding temples, watching over sacred relics, and occasionally being sent out to herd livestock like a four-legged bouncer. And if you weren't useful, well, let's just say the Egyptian gods had a taste for primate sacrifices. One moment you're an honored protector of divine artifacts. The next, you're being offered to Anubis in what can only be described as history's least ethical company bonus program. Sure, you might get your likeness carved into a temple wall, but that doesn't help much when your final role in life is mandatory guest of honor at a sacrificial ceremony. It's always the same, isn't it? You're either entertaining, protecting, or being tested on. But true freedom? That's the jungle, where the air is thick with the scent of rain, where vines stretch endlessly between towering trees, and where your only concern is the next branch, the next leap, the next adventure. No cages, no tests, just the wild, endless green, and the feeling of wind rushing past as you swing effortlessly through the canopy. But dreams don't last forever. The jungle fades, replaced by cold metal and artificial light. The smell of rain and earth disappears, replaced by antiseptic and something else. Something sterile, something final. You're back. And reality? Reality is still four walls of cold steel and a floor that smells like fear itself. A scientist walks past your cage. You make eye contact. For a second, you think maybe they'll help. Maybe. They write something on a clipboard and walk away. You weren't born to run through the trees. You were born for this. Monkeys have been test subjects for centuries. First, it was curiosity. How much are they like us? Then it became medicine, cosmetics, warfare. A monkey in a rocket, a monkey in restraints, a monkey hooked up to wires. And now, over 100,000 primates are used in experiments worldwide. Some are injected with lethal viruses just to see how long they'll survive. Others are strapped into chairs, unable to move, as electric currents are sent through their brains. Neuralink once implanted chips in their skulls. Some tried to claw them out. Others died from infections, seizures, brain hemorrhages. Oh, and ever heard of the pit of despair? Scientists once locked baby monkeys in total isolation for months, just to see how long it would take for them to lose their minds. The answer? Not long. But let's get back to you. You're not a baby anymore. You're growing. Less defenseless raisin, more wiry escape artist in training. Your fingers, once the size of matchsticks, now wrap around the bars like they belong there. Your limbs stretch out, no longer wobbly and unsure, but lean and tense, ready to spring. You're about the size of a house cat now, though significantly worse at purring and much better at clinging to metal. Your fur is filling in, patchy but promising. Like a bad DIY haircut. You can jump now, cling to the bars, swing from one side to the other, an acrobat in a prison cell. It won't get you out, but hey, it beats staring at the wall all day. A metal tag is clamped around your wrist. Not a name, a number. You try to bite it off. It doesn't budge. Cages rattle as others are taken. Some return, dazed, their fur damp with sweat. Others don't return at all. A scientist stops in front of your cage, scribbles something, moves on. What did they write? That you're healthy? That you're weak? That you're next? The food tray slides through a slot in the cage. Dry pellets, tasteless. But hunger wins. You eat. Water drips from a nozzle. If you want a drink, you press a lever. You press too slow? No water. You press too fast? A shock. Every now and then, a miracle actually happens. On November 8, 2024, in North Carolina, 43 lab monkeys did the impossible. They escaped. A door left unlocked, a chance taken, and suddenly, a swarm of panicked, determined fugitives bolting for freedom. They ran through parking lots, over fences, into the trees. Some caught, some lost to the wild forever. Think the Great Escape, but with more screeching and way worse planning. For them, it wasn't some Hollywood prison break. It was a desperate, instinct-driven gamble. A moment where, for the first time, they weren't lab subjects. They were inmates on the run. And you wait, you dream. Because if it happened once, maybe, just maybe, it can happen again. But let's be honest, your odds aren't great. You've made it this far, outlasting injections, electrodes, and experiments you never understood. You're basically the last contestant in a reality show no one wants to win. Your fur is thinning, your limbs feel heavier, and pressing the button? Some days it's just too much effort. The game is old, and so are you. One day, they take you from the cage. No straps, no restraints, just the same cold table where so many before you have laid. No dramatic music, no last-minute heroics, just a quiet, clinical ending. You close your eyes. No more experiments, no more buttons, no more games. You were never given a name, but you had a life. A caged one, a tested one, but a life nonetheless. And now you are free.